Good evening, and welcome to the Helen Borgers Theater. Our performance is about to begin. If you have cell phones, please remember to turn them off. And please, no texting, no photography, and no video recording during our show. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Thank you very much. Welcome to KBRD Studio 1 at the Helen Borgers Theater. And we have a great show for you tonight. We're going to do Sherlock Holmes and the Mysterious Case of Alice Faulkner. And we're going to do it as an old-time radio show. This is one of the interesting stories, is that this was not written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. He tried to write a stage play. He wanted to write a stage play, and he was lousy at it. So, I guess, because they hooked him up with a person who played Sherlock Holmes, the third most of any actor in history, and his name was William Gillette. And he was a stage actor, writer, and director. So and Doyle knew him, because Doyle went and saw him perform Sherlock Holmes. So they worked together. They kind of worked together, as it were. Gillette did the whole thing, and then Doyle had partial credit for it because it was characters that Doyle created. So, but anyway, the interesting thing is that Gillette had some influence on what we know as Sherlock Holmes now: the curved pipe, the double-billed hunting cap, and the line, "It's elementary, my dear Watson," was all Gillette. It was not Doyle. And so those are the things that we know Sherlock Holmes for. So it's kind of fun to know that somebody else created that. At least it's fun for us. Anyway, here I have to do some business here, and that is emergency exit is this way and this way. If you get confused, follow the screaming actors out. If there's an earth tremor, please stay seated. Don't try to work your way out to the lobby. We had that problem one time. You don't want to be out there anyway. There's a lot of plate glass out there, so you want to just stay here. This ceiling is double reinforced. All the lights above your heads are clamped and tethered. But should one fall, just leave it at the lobby on your way out. They're expensive, so don't take them home with you. Now, we say that we're performing this in front of a live studio audience. This is being webcast all over the world live. You are that audience we say we're performing live in front of. So please be alive. If you think something's funny, laugh. If you think something sad, cry. Whatever you wish to do, whatever emotion, you don't have to sit and be quiet because we're on the air. And I think that's all I have to say because we're late. We should be on the air already. So here we go. We have 30 seconds to be on the air, guys. 30 seconds. Are we ready at the Foley table?
Yes, boss.
Are we ready in the booth? Ready. Are we ready at the keyboards? Actors, ready? Ready. Here we go. We're on the air in 5, 4, 3. KBRD, Long Beach.
Tonight, the Long Beach Shakespeare Company presents Sherlock Holmes and the Strange Case of Miss Alice Faulkner, starring Jonah Goger as Sherlock Holmes, written for the stage by William Gillette, based on the characters created by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and adapted for radio by Orson Welles.
My name is Watson. I'm a doctor. It was in the year 1880 that Holmes and I were introduced by a mutual acquaintance. At the time, we were both looking for lodging that would suit our moderate means. This we found on the second floor of a house at 221B Baker Street. And it was during the years that we occupied these chambers together that Holmes established his unique international reputation as a consulting detective. During that time, I was privileged to be his daily companion, and I've done my modest share in giving the world an account of some of his most famous cases. Most famous of these are the ones of which I've written under the names of The Speckled Band, Sign of Four, Hound of the Baskervilles, and A Study in Scarlet. They represent, however, only a minute fraction of the 643 cases Holmes successfully solved. Other cases I hope one day to give to the world is the case of Mrs. Farintosh, the circus belle, and the case of the royal family of Scandinavia. Each illustrate in their own way the remarkable genius of my friend, Sherlock Holmes. Now, since my marriage 3 years ago, Holmes has continued to occupy the Baker Street lodgings by himself. And here, almost every afternoon when my work in the office is finished, I'm in the habit of calling on him. Now, the sitting room as you go in is exactly as it has been for the past 13 years. The worn bearskin rug, the huge sofa covered with faded chintz, the mantelpiece cluttered with miscellaneous objects, unanswered letters and piles of loose tobacco. On one side of the fireplace, in a deep armchair, his pipe curling forth slow wreaths of acrid tobacco, draped in his, oh dear, hideous purple dressing gown, sits Sherlock Holmes with his violin under his chin.
Come in. My Watson, my dear fellow.
How are you, Holmes?
Oh, I'm delighted to see you. Perfectly delighted. Upon my word, I am. But I'm sorry to observe that your wife has left you.
Oh, well, she has gone on a little visit. But how did you know?
Oh, well, I like that. How do I know anything? How do I know you've been getting yourself very wet lately? That you've an extremely careless servant girl? And that you've moved your dressing table to the other side of the room?
Holmes, if you lived a few centuries ago, they'd have burned you alive.
Such a conflagration would have saved me a great deal of trouble and expense.
Tell me now, how did you know all that?
Oh, it's too simple to talk about. Scratches and clumsy cuts, my dear fellow, on the inner side of your shoe there. Somebody scraped away crusted mud, and did it badly. Scraped the shoe along with it. There's your wet foot, my dear Watson, and your careless servant girl, all on one shoe. The face badly shaved on the right side, always used to be on the left. Light must have come in from the other side. Couldn't very well move your window. Must have moved your dressing table.
Of course. But how the deuce did you know my wife was away?
Well, where the deuce is your second waistcoat button, Watson? And what the deuce is yesterday's boutonniere doing in today's lapel, eh? And why the deuce do you wear the expression of a...
Just marvelous. Just marvelous.
Elementary, my dear fellow. Elementary. I'm only doing it for your amusement before we pass on to more serious matters.
Oh? What is it now, Holmes?
Watson, my dear fellow, in the enthusiasm which has prompted you to chronicle and somewhat to embellish my little adventures, you have occasionally seen fit to introduce a certain element of romance, which struck me as being just a trifle out of place. Something like working an elopement into the fifth proposition of Euclid. I merely refer to this in case you should see fit at some future time to chronicle the case on which I am about to embark. The strange case of Professor Robert Moriarty.
Moriarty? Moriarty? I don't remember ever having heard of the fellow.
No, Watson, you haven't. It is precisely this quality of invisibility that makes Moriarty the Napoleon of crime, sitting motionless like an ugly, venomous spider in the center of his web. But that web having 1,000 radiations, and the spider knowing every quiver of every one of them. And within 48 hours, I'll have the lines drawn so tightly around him that he can't move. I'll arrest him and his entire gang.
Why, Holmes, this is a very dangerous thing.
Now, my dear fellow, it's perfectly delightful. My whole life is spent in a series of frantic endeavors to escape from the dreary commonplaces of existence. And for a brief period, I escape. The day before yesterday, I received in this room the visit of a certain foreign nobleman who has recently inherited a very considerable title and who is about to be married. It seems that some years ago, this titled gentleman was so indiscreet as to fall in love with a young English lady by the name of Faulkner, socially his inferior, and to make her a promise of marriage. Well, later, at this family's insistence, the thing was broken off, and the young lady died shortly after of a broken heart.
Oh, poor dear.
Leaving behind a sister, and also considerable evidence in the form of letters, photographs, jewelry with inscriptions. These, together with the sister, are now being held in a house in St. John's Wood by a pair of blackmailers who go by the name of Chetwood. So far, as you see, Watson, a fairly ordinary case of blackmail, hardly worth my attention. But last night, on my inspection, a certain element revealed itself which renders the case far more important than I had expected.
And that element was?
Professor Moriarty. Come in.
Beg pardon, Mr. Holmes.
Yes, Billy, what is it?
Gentleman to see you by the name of Foreman.
Ah, show him in, Billy, show him in.
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Come in, Mr. Foreman.
Ah, good evening, Foreman.
Good evening, Mr. Holmes.
Watson, this is Inspector Foreman.
Inspector?
Since the day before yesterday, he occupies the position of butler under the name of Judson in the home of Mr. and Mrs. Chetwood, the blackmailers of St. John's Wood. Well, Foreman, any news?
Yes, sir. This morning, a little after 9, Chetwood and his wife drove away in a four-wheeler. They returned about 11. Bosick was with them. You know him, sir?
Yes. When I last had the occasion to meet Mr. Bassick, he got 2 years for safe-cracking. Go on, Foreman.
Oh, well, they took this man, Bosick, into the library. I got a look at him from the outside, and there he was, opening up the safe where they've been keeping the letters.
Go on.
Oh, well, in the end, when they got the safe open, it was empty. The letters were gone. It seems like the Faulkner girl got them back somehow. Oh, that got them pretty excited. Bosick went out to send a telegram.
Have you got a copy of it?
Oh, yes, sir. Oh, here it is, sir. It's in code.
The Moriarty! I thought so, Watson. This case is taking a most promising turn. Foreman, you'll return at once to the house in St. John's Wood. Within 10 minutes, I shall be there myself. If I remember correctly, the kitchen is immediately below the drawing room?
Yes, sir.
When I knock over a chair in the drawing room, you'll overturn a lamp in the kitchen, scatter some smoke balls, and give an alarm of a fire. All other instructions remain unchanged.
Very good, sir.
Hurry, Foreman.
Oh, yes, Mr. Holmes.
Well, my dear Watson, it begins to look like a most interesting evening.
Now will you give me those letters?
No, I won't. I won't. Oh!
Now will ya?
Oh!
Now will ya?
No!
Good evening. My name is Sherlock Holmes.
Pardon me. Whom is it you wish to see, Mr. Holmes?
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Chetwood. I had myself announced by the butler on the way up.
The butler? I didn't. Well, very well. Here he is now. Yes, Judson?
Miss Faulkner begs Mr. Holmes to excuse her. She's not well enough to see anyone this evening.
Will you please hand this card to Miss Faulkner and say that I have...
I beg your pardon, Mr. Holmes, but it's quite useless, really.
Oh? I'm sorry to hear it.
Yes, Miss Faulkner is, I regret to say, quite an invalid. She's unable to see anyone. Her health is so poor.
Has it ever occurred to you, Mr. Chetwood, that she might be confined to the house too much?
How does that concern you?
No, it doesn't. I simply made the suggestion. Might like to think it over. What's your butler's name?
Judson, sir.
Right, very well, Judson. Go on, take my card up.
Very good, sir.
Well, this really is too good. Why, of course, he can take up your card or your note or whatever it is if you wish it so much. I was only trying to save you the trouble.
Thanks. It's hardly any trouble to send up a card.
You know, Mr. Holmes, you interest me very much.
Really?
Upon my word, yes. We've all heard of your wonderful methods, the astonishing manner in which you gain information from the most trifling details. Now, I dare say in this brief moment or two, you've discovered any number of things about me.
Oh, nothing of consequence, Mr. Chetwood. I hardly more than asked myself why you were so distressed to see me at this particular moment, and what there can possibly be about the safe in the lower part of that desk to cause you such painful anxiety.
Oh, well, very good. Very good indeed. If those things were only true now, I'd be wonderfully impressed. It would be absolutely remarkable.
Excuse me, sir.
Ah, yes, Judson.
A message for you, Mr. Chetwood.
You'll excuse me, I trust. Oh, it's from Miss Faulkner. Well, really, she begs to be allowed to see you, Mr. Holmes. She absolutely implores it. Well, I suppose I shall have to give way. Judson, ask Miss Faulkner to come down to the drawing room. Say that Mr. Holmes is waiting to see her.
Oh, very good, sir.
Quite remarkable. Upon my soul, may I ask, if it's not an impertinent question, what message you sent up that could so have aroused Miss Faulkner's desire to come down?
Oh, merely that if she wasn't down here in 5 minutes, I'd go up.
Oh, that was it.
Yes, quite so. And unless I am greatly mistaken, I hear the young lady on the stairs, in which case she has a minute to spare.
Alice, that is Miss Faulkner. Let me introduce Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Mr. Holmes,
Ah, Miss Faulkner.
I'm really most charmed to meet you. Although it does look as if you've made me come down in spite of myself, doesn't it?
Well, I thank you very much for consenting to see me, Miss Faulkner, but regret to observe that you were put to the trouble of making such a very rapid change of dress.
Oh, well, yes, I did hurry a trifle, I confess. Mr. Holmes is quite living up to his reputation, isn't he, Freddie? Come in.
Yes, ma'am.
What are you doing here, Judson?
I beg pardon, ma'am. I was answering the bell.
What bell?
The drawing room bell, sir.
What do you mean, you blockhead? No one rang the bell.
Oh, I'm quite sure it was wrong, sir.
Well, I tell you, it did not ring.
Your butler is right, Mr. Chetwood. The bell did ring.
And how do you know?
I rang it.
What is it you want?
I want to send my card up to the real Miss Faulkner.
The real...
I said the real Miss Faulkner. Judson?
Yes, sir.
Holmes, what right do you have to ring for servants and give orders in my house?
What right have you to prevent my cards from reaching their destination? And how does it happen that you and this woman are resorting to trickery and deceit to prevent me from seeing Alice Faulkner? Through some trifling oversight, Judson, neither of the cards I handed you have been delivered. Kindly see that this error does not happen again.
Well, my order, sir.
Ah, you have orders.
I can't say, sir.
You were told not to deliver my card.
And what business is that of yours, I'd like to know?
I shall satisfy your curiosity on that point in a very short time, Mr. Chetwood.
Yes, and you'll find out in a very short time that it isn't safe to meddle with me. It wouldn't be any trouble at all for me to throw you out into the street.
Oh, possibly not. But trouble would swiftly follow such an experiment on your part.
Oh, it is a cursed lucky thing for you that I am not armed.
Yes, well, when Miss Faulkner comes down, you go and arm yourself.
Arm myself? I'll call the police. What's more, I'll call them right now.
Oh, no, you will not do that now. You will remain where you are until the lady I came here to see has entered this room.
And what makes you so sure of that?
Because you will prefer to avoid an investigation of your suspicious conduct, Mr. James Larrabee.
Larrabee?
That is the name under which you are known to Scotland Yard, I believe, Mr. Chetwood. This lady here is your wife. As to you, Judson, you will either deliver that card to Miss Faulkner at once or sleep in the police station tonight. It's a matter of small consequence to me which.
Shall I go, sir?
Go on. Take up the card. It makes no difference to me.
A short time since, Larrabee, you displayed an acute anxiety to leave the room. Pray do not let me detain you or your wife any longer. No? I take it you prefer to remain while I talk to Miss Faulkner.
We do, Mr. Holmes.
Ah, at last, Miss Faulkner.
This is Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
You wish to see me?
Very much indeed, Miss Faulkner. But I am sorry to see that you are very far from well.
Oh, no.
No?
I was just...
I beg your pardon. What does this mark mean?
Oh, nothing.
Nothing?
No.
And the mark here on your neck, plainly showing the clutch of a man's fingers. Does that mean nothing also? Oh, it occurs to me that I should like to have an explanation of this. Possibly you can furnish one, Mr. Larrabee.
And how should I know?
It seems to have occurred in your house.
And what if it did? You'd better understand that it isn't healthy for you or anyone else to interfere with my business.
Ah, then it is your business. We have that much at least. Pray be seated, Miss Faulkner.
I don't know who you are, Mr. Holmes, or why you're here.
I shall be very glad indeed to explain. My business is this. I've been consulted as to the possibility of obtaining from you certain letters addressed to your sister, which are supposed to be in your possession.
I cannot give up my sister's letters, Mr. Holmes. There are other things besides revenge. There is punishment.
Oh, believe me, Miss Faulkner.
There is nothing more to say. Good night, Mr. Holmes.
Oh, but my dear Miss Faulkner. Oh, I'm so sorry. How clumsy of me to overturn this chair.
Fire! Fire! Help!
What's
Help!
that? What's that? What's going on in your house here, Larrabee?
What is it? What's going on?
Fire, Mr. Chetwood! Fire!
Fire? Where?
The lamp, sir!
The lamp?
The lamp in the kitchen, sir! It fell off the table and everything's a-blazing, sir!
Blazing?
Quick, sir! Come down!
We're coming!
Don't alarm yourself, Miss Faulkner. There is no fire.
No fire?
This smoke was all arranged for.
Arranged for? What does it mean, Mr. Holmes?
It means that I wanted a package of letters, Miss Faulkner, and that by following your eyes just now when you thought there was a fire, I discovered that you'd hidden them in the upholstery of this chair. Quite elementary, as you see. And now that they are in my possession, there seems to be no reason for me to remain any longer in this house. Good night, Miss Faulkner. Miss Faulkner,
Yes?
I can't take them, Miss Faulkner. These letters belong to you. I cannot keep them. Unless you can possibly change your mind and let me have them of your own free will? No, I hardly supposed you could. I will therefore return them to you and... oh, here's our friend, Mr. Larrabee, returning from the fire.
So, you've got the letters, have you? Now, I suppose we're going to see you walk out of the house with them.
On the contrary, you're going to see me return them to their rightful owner. Miss Faulkner, here are your letters. Should you ever change your mind and be so generous, so forgiving as to wish to return them to the one who wrote them, you have my address. In any event, rest assured there will be no more cruelty, no more persecution in this house.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
You are perfectly safe with your property, Miss Faulkner, for I shall so arrange it that your faintest cry of distress will be heard. And if that cry is heard, it will be very unfortunate for those who are responsible. As for you, Mr. Larrabee, and you, madam, I beg you to understand that if you continue your persecution of that young lady, you will be at your peril. Good night.
Miss Faulkner. Come here, Miss Faulkner. Now, are you going to give me those letters?
No, never.
I asked, are you going to give me those letters? Now then, I want them.
Be careful, Jim.
You shut up. Now then, Miss Faulkner, do you give me those letters or do I break your arm? What's that?
Someone knocked at the door.
No. It was on that side.
Did you call, madam?
I think someone knocked, Judson.
Oh, I'll see, madam. Oh, I beg pardon, madam, but there's no one at the door.
Very well, you may go. He's got us watched.
What we want to do is to leave it alone. Let the Emperor have it.
Do you mean Professor Moriarty?
That's who I mean. Once let him get at it, he'll settle it with Holmes pretty quick. Don't you worry a minute, I tell you. Professor Moriarty will get in before noon tomorrow night. He won't wait long either, and when he strikes, it means death.
Number?
82 v 71.
Correct. Moriarty speaking. Come in, Busick. Your report coming from Manning?
The whole thing was a trap, set and baited by an expert.
And Manning?
Manning has disappeared.
Disappeared. Sherlock Holmes again. And now this Larrabee job, he's in on that too. And that's where he's made his mistake. Mr. Holmes is playing rather a dangerous game, Busick. Inspector Wilson tried it 7 years ago. Wilson is dead. 2 years later, Henderson took it up. We haven't heard anything of Henderson lately, eh?
Not a thing, sir.
You've seen about that, yes. This Holmes is rather a talented man. He doesn't realize there isn't a street in London that'll be safe for him if I whisper his name to Cragen. I might even make him a little call myself, just for the satisfaction of it. Just for the satisfaction of it. Baker Street, isn't it, his place? Baker Street, eh?
Yes, Baker Street, sir.
We could make it safe. We could make it absolutely safe for 3 streets in every direction.
Yes, sir, but...
No, we could. We've done it over and over elsewhere. Police decoyed, men in every doorway. Do this tonight in Baker Street. At 9 o'clock, call on his attendants. Call them out on one pretext or another, and keep them out, you understand? I'll see this Sherlock Holmes myself. I'll give him a chance for his life, but... Basic?
Yes, sir?
Notify the Lascar that I may require the gas chamber at Stepney tomorrow night. And have Cragen there at 10:15 with his crew. Tell Larrabee I shall want him to write a letter to Mr. Sherlock Holmes, which I shall dictate. Meet me here at 7, and Basic, place your men at 9 tonight for Sherlock Holmes' house in Baker Street.
And you'll still go there yourself, sir?
I will go there myself.
But this meeting tonight, sir, to get him into the gas chamber...
If I fail to kill him in Baker Street, we'll have him in Swanton Lane. Either way, I have him, Basic. 2 strings to our bow. 2 strings to our bow. Eh, Basic?
That evening, Holmes and I dined together at Scott's in Piccadilly Circus. After dinner, we went to a concert at Queen's Hall. Oh, I can still see him on this particular night of the Moriarty case, well knowing that his life was in peril, sitting beside me in the stalls, wrapped in the most perfect happiness, listening to Sarasate play the violin, gently waving his long, thin fingers in time to the music. When it was over, he rose, put on his long coat, and started with long steps in the direction of the street.
Come, my dear Watson, let's go home to Baker Street. I have an idea that very soon we shall be receiving a most interesting visit.
In front of Queen's Hall, we hailed a hansom, and as we came down Baker Street, we could see that the light was burning on the 2nd floor of 221B. We went up the dark, narrow stairs.
Mr. Holmes?
The boy Billy was waiting for us.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes, Billy, what is it?
Mrs. Hudson's compliments, sir. She says she wants to know if she can see you.
Well, where is Mrs. Hudson?
Downstairs in the kitchen, sir.
Oh, well, my compliments, and I don't think she can see me from where she is.
She'll be very sorry, sir.
Our regret will be mutual.
It was most terrible important, sir, seeing as she wants to know what you'll have for your breakfast in the morning.
A breakfast, the same
Same as when, sir?
as this morning.
But you didn't have nothing, sir. You weren't here.
And I won't be here tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Was that all, sir?
Yes, quite so.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Oh, Mr. Holmes, is a letter for you, sir, on the table, delivered 10 minutes ago.
Do read it, Watson. There's a good fellow, while I put on my dressing gown.
Oh, sure, Holmes. Let me see here. Dear sir,
Who thus addresses me?
why, James Larrabee.
Yeah. And what has James to say this evening?
Dear sir,
I hope he won't say that again.
well, I don't think he will if you let me continue. I have the honor to inform you that Miss Faulkner has changed her mind regarding the letters, etc., which you wish to obtain, and has decided to dispose of them for a monetary consideration. If you wish to negotiate, will you be at 9 o'clock at the Guards Monument at the foot of Waterloo Place? You will see a four-wheeler with wooden shutters to the windows. If you have the cab followed or try any other underhand trick, you won't get what you want. Let me know your decision. Yours truly, James Larrabee.
Mine truly, eh? Well, later perhaps.
What does the fellow mean?
This fellow means to sell me a base imitation for a large sum of money of certain letters that he does not possess.
Oh.
I shall probably buy them from him. Now, see if I have the points. Tonight, 9 o'clock, Guards Monument, a cab with wooden shutters, no one to come with me, no one to follow, or I don't get what I want.
Quite right. But this cab with the wooden shutters, Holmes, this...
Merely a little device to keep me from seeing where they're taking me. Billy?
Yes, sir?
Give this to that man that...
It was a woman, sir.
Oh, young or old?
Look quite young, sir.
In a hansom?
Four-wheeler, sir.
Seen the driver before?
Yes, sir, but I can't think where.
Hand this to the lady, apologize for the delay, and look at the driver again.
Yes, sir.
But, my dear Holmes, you didn't say you would go.
Oh, but I certainly did.
But this fellow means mischief.
This fellow means the same.
I beg pardon, sir. A message came over from the chemist on the corner to say a man's had been hit by a bus and looks like his leg broken. Would Dr. Watson kindly step over and help till the ambulance comes?
Oh, yes, certainly. I'll go at once. I'll be back in a moment, Holmes.
Billy,
Yes, sir?
who brought that message?
Boy from the chemist, sir.
Yes, but which boy?
Must have been a new one, sir. I ain't seen him before.
Oh, Billy, get downstairs quickly. Look after Dr. Watson. If the boy's gone and there's a man with him, it means mischief. Let me know. Don't stop to come up. Ring the doorbell. I'll hear it. Ring it loud.
Yes, sir. Look out! Look out, sir! Look out! Oh, look out!
It's a dangerous habit, Mr. Holmes, to finger loaded firearms in the pocket of one's dressing gown.
I give you my word, Professor Moriarty. You'll be taken from here to the hospital if you keep your hand behind you like that. That's better. In that case, please put your revolver on the table.
You evidently don't know me.
I think it's quite evident that I do. Pray, have a chair, Professor. I can spare you 5 minutes. That is, if you have anything to say. Careful! What were you about to do, Professor Moriarty?
Look at my watch.
Well, I'll tell you when your 5 minutes is up.
Is it your intention to pursue this case against me?
That is my intention, to the very end.
I regret this. Not on so much on my own account, but on yours.
I share your regret, Professor, but solely because of the rather uncomfortable position it will cause you to occupy.
May I inquire as to what position you are pleased to allude, Mr. Holmes.
I refer to the position you will occupy at the end of a rope, Moriarty.
Oh, and have you the faintest idea that you'd be permitted to live to see that day?
As to that, I do not particularly care, so that I bring you to see it.
You'll never bring me to see it. Do you think that I would be here if I hadn't made the streets quite safe in every respect?
I could never so grossly overestimate your courage as that, Professor.
Do you imagine that your friend, the doctor, and your boy, Billy, will soon return?
What?
So, it leaves us quite alone, doesn't it, sir? Quite alone. So that we can talk the matter over quietly, Mr. Holmes, and not be disturbed. Now, in the first place, I wish to call your attention to a few memoranda which I've jotted down, and which you will find...
Look out! Don't do that! Get your hands down quickly. A little farther away from that memorandum book you're talking about.
I was merely about to take out a small notebook.
Well, merely don't do that. I don't want it. Got one of my own. If you want it, we'll have someone get it for you. I always like to save my guests unnecessary trouble.
I observe that your boy doesn't answer the bell.
No, but I have an idea that he will before long.
It may possibly be longer than you think, Mr. Holmes.
What, that boy?
Yes, that boy.
Well, at least we'll try the bell once more, Professor.
Doesn't it occur to you that he may possibly have been detained, Mr. Holmes?
It does. But it also occurs to me that you're in a very much the same predicament, Moriarty.
I beg pardon, sir. Someone tried to hold me, sir.
It's quite evident, however, that he failed to do so.
Yes, sir. He's got me coat, sir, but he ain't got me.
Billy?
Yes, sir.
Billy, the gentleman I am carefully pointing out to you with this 45 desires to have us get something out of his left hand inside coat pocket. As he's not feeling quite himself today, and the consequence of his trying to do it himself might prove fatal, I suggest you attend to it for him.
Yes, sir. Is this it, sir? This gun?
Quite so, Billy, quite so. Put it on the table. Not there, Billy, on this table where I can reach it. That's more like it. That's all, Billy.
Shall I see if he's got another, sir?
Why, Billy, you surprise me. The gentleman has already taken the trouble to inform us that he hasn't.
When, sir?
When he made a snatch for this one. And now, Professor, now that we have your little memorandum book, do you think of anything else you'd like before Billy goes? Any little thing you've got that you don't want? No? So sorry, that's all, Billy.
Thank you, sir.
Listen, Holmes, to me. On the 4th of January, you crossed my path. On the 23rd, you inconvenienced me. And now, at the close of April, I find myself placed in such a position through your continual interference that I am in positive danger of losing my liberty.
Have you any suggestions to make?
No, I have no suggestions to make. I have a fact to state. If you don't drop it at once, your life's not worth that.
Well, I'm afraid, Professor, that in the pleasure of this conversation, I am neglecting more important business. If you will excuse me a moment while I get my pipe off the mantelpiece here.
I came here this evening, Mr. Holmes, to see if peace could not be arranged between us.
Quite so, yes.
You seem fit not only to reject my proposals, but to make insulting references coupled with threats of violence. You've been warned of your danger. You don't heed that warning. Well, perhaps you'll heed this. Get your hands up, Mr. Holmes. Up with them, or I... Oh! Oh!
I didn't imagine I'd leave that gun loaded, did you, Moriarty? Here are the cartridges. I didn't suppose you'd want to use that gun again, so I took them out while you were talking. You'll find them all there, Professor. Billy,
Yes, sir?
will you please show Professor Moriarty the door.
Yes, sir. This way, sir.
Don't ever say, I didn't warn you, Mr. Holmes.
Oh, no, Professor. No, I never will. Billy, come here.
Yes, sir.
Billy. Oh, Billy, you're a good boy.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
We'll be right back after this word from our sponsor.
Looking for a place to Looking for a place to enjoy a light meal before an evening performance or after a matinee? Look no further than the Vintage. Their menu consists of small, seasonal, European-inspired plates and cheese-centric bites. The focus is on simple, quality ingredients, and they strive to make as many items in-house as possible. They also offer several cheese and charcuterie flight options. The wine list was carefully curated to pair with their cheese selection. Order a wine flight to complement your cheese flight, or buy a pound of cheese and a bottle of wine to take home. They offer 8 beers on tap, including several from 10 Mile Brewing Company in Signal Hill. The Vintage also has a well-stocked cheese shop with cheeses from around the world. You'll find the Vintage at 4236 Atlantic Avenue, Long Beach, Wednesdays through Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Sundays, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Give them a call at 562-349-0045. Again, that's 562-349-0045. The Vintage, for all your cheese needs.
We now return to the Long Beach Shakespeare Company's presentation of Sherlock Holmes and the Strange Case of Miss Alice Faulkner. This is KBRD Long Beach.
It was exactly 9 o'clock when Sherlock Holmes left the house in Baker Street. He had given the strictest instructions that no one was to follow him. If there had been no word from him by noon of the following day, we must notify Scotland Yard. I went to the window and looked after him as he went down Baker Street, a tall, thin figure in a gray ulster, walking with long, smooth steps in the direction of Langham Place. There, he entered a cab.
Yeah. What you doing, lighting matches here?
That's what I'm doing.
Well, chuck it.
Why should I chuck it?
There might be gas, you fool.
There ain't no gas. It's been 4 days since we had gas in the room.
Yeah, well, I still say there might be gas.
Did you check it?
Oh, I will. Here goes. Ready?
Give her a turn. That'll do. Turn her off.
5 minutes of that and all your troubles are ended. Here, what's that?
Bassick?
That's right, Cragen. That you, Leary.
Yes, sir.
Be careful now, ye boys. We've got a tough one tonight.
You ain't said who, as I've heard.
Oh, that would be Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, you mean that, sir?
Oh, it's the God's truth.
We're gonna count him out, eh?
Well, if you don't and he gets away, well, I feel sorry for you, that's all. The governor's here.
Not the governor himself. Professor Moriarty?
Shut up.
Where's Cragen?
Yes, sir.
Got your full crew?
Oh, yes, sir.
No mistakes tonight, Cragen.
I'll be careful of that, sir.
This is Larrabee.
Hello?
He's in on the job.
Hello, Larrabee.
What's that door, Bassick?
A small cupboard, sir.
No outlet?
None whatever, sir. No.
And that window?
Nailed down, sir.
A man might break the glass.
If he did, he'd come up against heavy iron bars outside.
We'll have him tied down before he can break any glass, sir.
Oh, you used it before, eh? Mm-hmm. Of course, you know it's airtight.
Every crevice is sealed, sir.
When the men have turned the gas on, they leave by this door,
Yes, sir, that's correct.
and it can be made quite secure.
Heavy bolts on the outside, sir. Solid oak bars overall.
Let me see how quick you can operate them.
Oh, well, they tie a man down, sir. So there's really no need to hurry.
Let me see how quick you can operate them.
Leary?
Yes, sir.
That's good. Open it up. Now, Cragen and the rest of you, one thing remember, whatever happens, no shooting tonight. Not a single shot. It can be heard in the alley below. Well, the first thing is to get his revolver away before he has a chance to use it. Two of you attract his attention in front, the other come up on him from behind and snatch it out of his pocket. Then you have him. Arrange that, Cragen.
I'll tend to it, sir.
Mr. Larrabee, you understand, they wait for you.
I understand, sir, yes.
I give you this opportunity to sell him the packet of letters you forged and get what you can for your trouble. A few £100 doesn't interest me, Mr. Larrabee. What I am after is Holmes.
I understand, sir. Yes.
When you've finished and got your money, you whistle, and these gentlemen come in. Now, let's hear it. You hear that, Cragen? That's right. And, Cragen,
Sir?
at the proper moment, present my compliments to Mr. Sherlock Holmes and say that I wished him a pleasant journey to the other side.
That's funny, sir. Yeah, I will.
Come along, Bessie.
Yes, sir,
Good
yes.
night, gentlemen.
Good night, Mr. Mordaunt.
Good night, Larrabee.
Good night, sir. All right, boys. Clear? When you hear the whistle, in you come.
Right, you are, sir.
Oh, and Leary,
Yes, sir.
you get down in the corner below and let me know when he comes.
Oh, well, I let you know.
Well, when you see him driving up, come down the alley and whistle 3 times.
Very good, sir. There! What's this? Ah! Hey! How'd you get in here? What are you doing in the back there, huh? Ah! 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 Hey,
Is it Leary? What's going on?
Oh, bring her in. Hey, come on, you! Ah! Ah!
Oh! So it's you, Miss Faulkner.
It's true then?
How did you get to this place?
I followed you in a cab.
And what have you been doing since I came up here? Informing the police, perhaps?
No, I was afraid he'd come, so I waited.
Oh, to warn him, I suppose?
Yes, to warn him. Yes, you're going to swindle and deceive him, sell him a packet of false letters. I know that. What else are you going to do to him?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Where are those men who came up here?
I'm sorry, what men?
3 terrible-looking men. I saw them go in at the street door.
You don't mean these men, do you, Miss Faulkner?
Now, get over here.
Tie her up, boys! Tie her up so
Give
she
me that
can't
arm,
make
give
a
me that
noise.
arm,
Tie
I've
her
got
up!
you now. All right. Tie it up tight, yeah?
Listen. That's him. There he is now.
What, Holmes?
Yeah, that's him. That's the signal.
We won't have time to get her out.
Shut her in there, in the cupboard.
Come here with me. Come on. Get in there.
In with her, into the cupboard. Come on. Get in there, come on.
Hey, there ain't no lock on this here cupboard door.
Well, drive something in there.
Here, let me see. Oh, I know, this knife. This'll do it.
There we go. Come on. Yeah. That'll hold her. No. Get out! Quick. Go,
All
go.
right, come on, let's go, guys.
Good evening, Mr. Holmes.
Ah, Mr. Larrabee. Now, really, I certainly thought after all this driving about in a closed cab, you'd show me something new.
My apologies. Seen it before, have you, Mr. Holmes?
Well, a time or two. I nabbed a friend of yours in this place while he was trying to drop himself out of the window. Ned Colvin, the cracksman.
Colvin. Colvin. I never heard of him before.
Oh, well, you certainly never heard of him after. I'm sure of that. A brace of counterfeiters used these luxurious chambers in the spring of '89. One of them hid in that cupboard. We pulled him out by the heels.
Well, that's quite interesting, but times have changed since then, sir.
Ah, so they have, Mr. Larrabee, so they have. Then it was only cracksmen, pickpockets, and petty swindlers of various kinds. But now...
What now?
Well, between you and me, Mr. Larrabee, we've heard some not altogether agreeable rumors. Rumors of some pretty shady work not far from here. A murder or two of a very peculiar kind. I've always had a suspicion that... But that's it! My surmise was correct. It is.
It is what, sir?
This room is caulked, sealed.
And what does that signify to us?
No, nothing to us, Mr. Larrabee, nothing to us. But it might signify a good deal to some poor devil who's been caught and gassed in this trap.
Well, if it's nothing to us, supposing we leave it alone and get to business. My time is it's limited, yes.
Ah, of course. I should have realized that these reflections could not possibly appeal to you.
Yes, of course. Smoke, sir? Do you smoke? Have a cigar, please.
Ah, thanks. Ah, good cigar this, Mr. Larrabee. A genuine Havana.
Well, I'm glad you like it. Now, here is the little packet of letters, which is the object of this meeting. I haven't opened it yet, but Miss Faulkner tells me everything is there.
Suppose, Mr. Larrabee, that as Miss Faulkner knows nothing about this affair, we omit her name from the discussion, eh?
Oh, whatever do you mean? Who told you she doesn't know?
You did. Every look, tone, gesture, everything you've said and done since I've been in this room has informed me that Miss Faulkner has never consented to this transaction. It is a little speculation of your own.
Oh. And I suppose you think you can read me like a book.
Oh, no. Like a primer.
Well, I'll let it pass. How much will you give?
£1,000?
Oh, I couldn't take it.
Oh, what do you ask?
5,000.
Oh, I couldn't give it.
Why, I've been offered 4,000 for this little packet.
Oh, well, why didn't you take that?
Oh, because I intended to get more.
Oh, that's too bad.
Well, they offered 4,000. They'll give 5.
They won't give anything.
And why not?
They've turned the case over to me.
Oh. Will you give 3,000?
Mr. Larrabee, strange as it may appear, my time is as limited as yours. I have brought with me the sum of £1,000, which is all that I wish to pay. If it's your desire to sell at this figure, kindly appraise me of the fact at once. If not, permit me to wish you a good evening. Well?
You can have it. It's too small a matter to haggle over. Give me the money, please.
Ah, certainly.
Oh. I thought you said you only brought just 1,000.
Well, I did. This is it.
You brought a trifle more, I see.
Oh, quite so. I didn't say I hadn't brought any more.
So you can do your little tricks when it comes to it, can't you?
It depends on who I'm dealing with.
Okay, well, here, you give me that money. Come on, quick, hand it over. Oh, no!
Now, I've got you where I want you, James Larrabee. You've been so cunning and so cautious and so wise. We couldn't find a thing to hold you for. But this little slip will get you in for robbery.
Oh, you'll have me in, will you? Well, what are your views on being able to get away from here yourself?
I do not anticipate any particular difficulty with that.
Robbery, eh? Why, even if you do get away from here, you haven't got a witness. You haven't got a witness to your name.
I'm not so sure of that, Mr. Larrabee. Not so sure of that. Do you usually fasten this cupboard door with a knife?
Hey, come away from that door!
Miss Faulkner! Stand back! You scoundrel, Larrabee, what does this mean?
I'll show you what it means. Curse it quick!
I'm afraid you're badly hurt, Miss Faulkner.
Mr. Holmes, look, behind you.
Get him!
Up. Gentlemen, I'll have to ask you to wait just one moment, please.
Hey there, what's the idea of sitting down and writing?
What are you writing? Your will, I suppose?
Oh, no. Just a brief description of one or two of you gentlemen. For the police. I'm ready now.
Wait a bit. You better listen to me, Mr. Holmes. We're going to tie you down nice and tight to the top of that table.
Now, why you surprise me, gentlemen, thinking you're so sure of holding a man in this room with 3 bars gone out of that window?
Bars or no bars, you're not going to get out of here as easy as you expect, Mr. Holmes.
There are so many ways, Mr. Larrabee, that I hardly know which one to choose.
Well, you better choose quick, I can tell you that.
Oh, I'll choose at once, Mr. Cregan, and my choice falls on this chair.
Oh, my God, the lights! He's getting away in the dark!
Stop, look out!
Cregan, look at his cigar!
Oh, you can trace him by the cigar.
Watch his cigar!
Look out, he's going for the window!
He's up on the ledge. He's climbed up. Look at his cigar. There he is.
Get him, quick, after him!
There he goes. He's up by the window now.
No, gentlemen, no, not by the window. I'm leaving by the door here. By the way, I left my cigar for you on the windowsill. Good evening, gentlemen. Come along, Miss Faulkner.
There was no news of Holmes that night, and Billy reported next morning that he had not breakfasted at home. I had a busy morning at my office in Harley Street, and it was after 11 before the last of my appointments was over, and still no news of Holmes.
Did you ring Dr. Watson?
Oh, Parsons, is there anyone waiting? I have to be in Baker Street at noon.
Oh, there's one person in the waiting room, Doctor, a lady, sir, and she wants to see you most particular.
What about?
She didn't say, sir. Only she said it was of the utmost importance, sir, if you would see her, sir.
Oh, very well, I'll see her. And call a cab for me at the same time and have it wait. Show the lady in, Parsons.
But of course, sir. This way, Mum, this way.
Ah, Doctor, it's awfully good to see you. For you to see me, I am Mrs. H.D. Witt Seaton. Dear me, I didn't bring my card case. Oh, if I did, I've lost it.
Well, don't trouble about a card, Mrs. Seaton.
They said you were Mr. Holmes' friend. Several people told me that. Several. They advised me to ask you where I could find him today, this morning. And everything depends upon it, Doctor. Everything.
Well, then in that case, I'd go to Holmes at once.
Oh, but I've been and he wasn't there.
You went to Mr. Holmes' house?
Yes, in Baker Street. That's why I came to you. They said he might be here.
No, he isn't here.
But don't you expect him this morning?
No, there's no possibility of Mr. Holmes coming, as far as I know.
But couldn't you get him to come? Oh, it would be such a great favor to me. I'm almost worn out with going about and, this dreadful anxiety. If you could give word to Mr. Holmes to come.
I could not get him to come, madam, and I beg you to excuse me. I'm going out myself on urgent business. I have no idea where Mr. Holmes could be, and I can't get him under...
Oi! Look out!
What's that, Parsons?
It sounded like an accident, sir.
Probably a broken down and hansom. See what it is, Parsons.
If that's the bell, sir, somebody's hurt, sir, and they're wanting you.
Well, don't allow anybody to come in. I have no more time.
Very well, sir, of course.
Oh, but they're coming in, Doctor.
Let us in, let us in. Let the old man come in, can't you?
Oh, we better bring him in. There's nowhere else for us to bring him to go.
Fate Megara, what kind of doctor's office is this when a man can't come in when he's hurt?
Gentlemen, the doctor can't see anybody.
Oh, he's got to come in. We can't leave him out here on the street, can we?
Oh, no.
All right. Help him in, Parsons.
Oh, Doctor, isn't it frightful? Oh, can I be of some use?
None whatever, madam.
Oh, Doctor, I must see see the poor fellow.
Oh, my leg, my leg.
Yes, of course. Right this way, sir. Be careful of the
It was a
sill, sir. That's
accident.
it. Come in.
You can't help a accident.
You can't help an accident, that's plain enough.
He was on the wrong side of the street. He
Now,
was.
Over to this chair, sir.
No, I'll sit here.
No, this is the chair, sir.
Don't you suppose I know where I want to sit down?
You'll sit down here.
But that isn't the doctor.
Now the doctor have a look at you. Now, is a doctor.
That isn't a doctor.
Yes, it is a doctor. Yeah, doctor, you just gotta come and look at this old bloke. Well, he's had himself just a little.
Are you the cabman?
Yes, I'm the cabman.
Well, I'll have you arrested for this.
Arrested?
Arrested, yes.
You can't arrest me.
Well, somebody can. Where's my hat? Where's my hat? My hat!
Never mind your hat.
I will mind my hat, and I'll hold you responsible.
Your hat's in your hand. Now go sit down.
That isn't my hat. Here, you're responsible. I'll have you arrested here. Come back.
I can sit around here, you know. I gotta go tend to me blade boss.
Oh, bring your horse in here. I want to speak to the horse, too. It's a conspiracy. Oh, I won't stay in this place if I ever get out of here alive. What are you staring at me for, lady?
Parsons, tell that cab to wait for me. I must see if he's badly hurt.
Of course, sir, yes.
Now, my friend, if you'll sit quiet for one moment, I'll have a look at you.
Oh!
Well, stay still, will you? Well, how can I look at you if you keep moving around like this?
Remarkable weather we're having, eh, Doctor?
Holmes? What on earth?
How about helping me remove some of this ridiculous disguise, Watson?
Holmes, it is you.
Quite so, my dear fellow, quite so.
Holmes?
Watson? Watson, don't let her get out that window! Look out the blind!
What do you want me to do?
Oh, nothing. It's already been done by Mrs. Larrabee here.
Look out, Holmes. She can get out that way.
Oh, I don't think so, Watson. Foreman!
Not to worry, sir. I've got her.
Good work, Foreman. Now take this lady in charge.
Yes, sir.
Very good, Foreman. Do wait for me outside.
Yes, sir.
Watson, my dear fellow, I regret to say that up to the present time, Professor Moriarty himself has not risen to the bait.
Well, where do you think he is, Holmes?
In the open streets, under some clever disguise, watching for a chance to get at me.
And was this woman sent in here to spy?
Quite so. A spy. To let them know by some signal if she found me in the house. Well, now they know. Pull down that blind, Watson. I don't care to be shot at from the street. And I imagine we shall hear from Professor Moriarty very soon now.
Mr. Adams. Mr. Adams.
What did I tell you?
He's gone, sir.
From where?
The house across the street. He was there watching these windows. He must have seen something for he just come out. There was a cab waiting in front of this house, sir, and he just climbed up and changed places with the driver.
Get out again quick, Billy, and keep your eye on him.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Watson, can you let me have a rather heavy portmanteau for a few moments? I won't do it any harm.
Parsons, my large Gladstone over there in the corner.
good.
Bring it here, please.
Of course, sir. Here you are, sir. Here's the portmanteau.
Very good, Parsons. Thank you so much. Parsons, you ordered a cab for the doctor a short time ago. It's been waiting, I believe.
Yes, sir. I think it has, sir.
Be so good as to tell the driver to come in here and get a valise. When he comes, tell him that's the one.
Very good, sir.
Watson, in times like these, you should tell your man never to take the first cab that comes on call, nor yet the second. The third may be safe.
But Holmes, I was trying to get the cab.
All right. I'm a-coming.
Yes, cabby. Right in this way, please.
This bag I wanted taken down to the street, driver.
Right yar, sir. Right yar.
Oh, all right. Goodbye, Watson. Goodbye, Watson, old fellow. Wait a minute, driver.
Oh?
It's pretty heavy, I'm afraid. Let me help you. Watson, I'll write to you from Budapest.
Yes, but Holmes...
Here, driver. Just let me tighten up these straps a bit. There we are. That's right. I'll hold it, driver. You pull the strap.
Yes, sir.
A few little things in this bag I wouldn't like to lose, you see.
That right yar, sir.
And it's just as well to make quite sure, is it not? By a simple pair of handcuffs. Professor Moriarty.
Oh, blast you, Holmes. Do you imagine, Sherlock Holmes, that this is the end?
I ventured to dream that it might be.
Are you quite sure the police will be able to hold me?
Professor Moriarty, I am quite sure of nothing. Take him away, Foreman!
Yes, sir. Come along, you. Take your hands off.
And so, my dear Watson, ends the strange case of Miss Alice Faulkner.
Well, what about the letters, Holmes?
No, the letters, they were returned to their rightful owner over an hour ago. I suspected from the start that Miss Faulkner was really a nice girl at heart. Oh, dear.
Holmes, what is it?
I was just reflecting, my dear Watson. With Moriarty out of the way, London, from the point of view of the criminal expert, is likely to become a singularly uninteresting city again. One's morning paper, a veritable wilderness of boredom.
Mr. Holmes.
Yes, Billy?
It's a lady, sir. Been waiting for an hour. She says she's got to see you, sir. Case of murder, she says. She's got her face veiled.
Veiled, from which I deduce that she is a lady of over 41 and less than 45, of a strange dark beauty and considerable social eminence, and that she has lived for some years in the Near East, and that she is now wearing a large blood ruby on the second finger of her left hand.
Holmes, how do you do these things? It's absolutely amazing.
Oh, elementary, my dear Watson. Elementary.
Once more, we'll be right back after this word from our sponsor.
Watson, are you looking forward to your trip to America for the International Medical Conference?
Yes, Holmes, I'm quite looking forward to it.
Here is your tea as ordered, sirs. I took the liberty of bringing up some biscuits.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Hudson. Now, Watson, I detect some reluctance in your response. What is troubling you about this trip?
You know me, Holmes. I get homesick easily, and California's so far from here.
If I may make a suggestion, Doctor?
Oh, by all means, my dear lady.
As you know, my sister Alice moved to Long Beach, California a few years ago.
Why, that's the very city in which the conference is being held.
Yes, sir. And my sister told me of a little theater, the Helen Borgers Theater, I believe they call it. It's home to the Long Beach Shakespeare Company.
Quite right. They have a wonderful company there. I understand that they even perform plays about detectives.
Plays about detectives? I never heard of a Shakespeare Company doing such a thing.
Well, it is in California.
Oh, yes, I see your point there, Holmes. Yes. Well, thank you, Mrs. Hudson. Seeing a play by our very own bard would be of some comfort.
Oh, it would, yes. But that's not the establishment that I meant to tell you about.
No?
Just up the street from the theater is a neighborhood pub.
A pub in America.
It's called EJ's, and my sister loves it there. They serve very good food, all manner of beverages, and they have mini sporting contests to watch on something called big screens, whatever that means.
You wouldn't happen to know the address to EJ's pub, Mrs. Hudson?
Well, it just so happens I do. Alice sent it to me in a letter to give to you. Now, let me see. I have it here somewhere.
Left-hand pocket of your apron.
Oh, right you are, sir. Okay, 4306 Atlantic Avenue, Long Beach, California. Oh, and you can ring them up at 562-424-5000.
A Shakespeare play and then a visit to EJ's pub. Sounds like just the right prescription for a little homesickness, Watson.
Quite right, Holmes.
EJ's, your neighborhood pub. Tonight, the Long Beach Shakespeare Company has brought you Sherlock Holmes and the Strange Case of Miss Alice Faulkner, featuring Jonah Goger as Sherlock Holmes, Joe Montanari as Dr. Watson and Cragen, Sarah Hovind as Alice, Madge, Billy, and Leary, Leonardo Lerma as Professor Moriarty and Inspector Foreman, and T. Allen as Larrabee, Bassick, and Parsons. Live music performed by Sarah Hovind. Live sound effects performed by T. Jalen and the cast. This presentation was produced by Holly Levesque and directed by Joe Montanari. LBSC's technical director is Scott Kanzelmeyer. Tonight's engineer was Manny Long. The artistic director for LBSC is Holly Levesque. This performance of Sherlock Holmes and the Strange Case of Miss Alice Faulkner was done in front of a live studio audience at the Helen Borgers Theater. For the Long Beach Shakespeare Company and KBRD, I'm T. Jalen, wishing you a good night.
You were a live audience. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please tell your friends. And if you didn't, tell people you don't like. We just need to get people in the theater. Thanks for coming. The actors are out here in the lobby to say hi. Thank you, Dave.